Hi, everyone. I'm Ani Sophine, and I'd like to welcome you to Quantum Messages. I haven't seen you for a little bit, and I haven't done a video for a while, but I'm back, and I have been contemplating our soul existence and also what an oversoul is, what a super soul is. And I came up with a pretty interesting idea. And what has been coming to me lately is our this massive huge star cluster being, which is called Laniakea. A lot of you might have already heard about her. I'm calling her her. And I've come to the realization that she might be the heart of our universe. And so I'm going to go in depth right now about kind of as above, so below, as above type information and how we connect to these larger super clusters and how I believe from my own research that potentially our souls come from these larger super clusters. So check out this super interesting video. Once again, I just started and released a new course called Dreams 101, The Quantum Perspective. If you are interested in taking that course, you can go to my website, which is quantummessages1.com. Go click on the course section, and then you can see what you would be getting. You would be getting 3 videos. You would be getting a archetype, symbol, and dream journal, and you would also be getting 21 questions to dive deep into your shadow self and release the shadow self and make friends with the shadow self. So if you are interested in that, it is still on sale. All you need to do is type in the coupon code, which is quantum21, and you can get the all the courses and all the materials for $21, which I feel like is a pretty amazing deal. So let's start with this whole my whole idea of the heart of our universe, Laniakea, and how I, came to this conclusion that she might actually be a massive, massive ancient super soul. So let's just give a little bit of background and perspective on this. So my question is our galaxies and super cluster galaxies sentient? And so what I came up with was that as above, so below, as above. This is like a hermetic wisdom, hermetic fact. This is a law of the universe. And there is a hierarchal structure of our universe from a soul perspective. So, and right now, I believe that we are just kind of a wisp or a plasmoid wisp potentially from where our souls truly reside and where they come from. And so personally for me, I've always wondered who my soul is, where do I come from? Is our planet Earth that we're living on, Pachamama Gaia. Sun is our solar system, is our Milky Way galaxy sentient as well. And so my question is if we are sentient, why can't they be sentient? And so I believe from my research that there is a top-down structure to this, and we are part of this whole massive cosmic universal consciousness soup. And I'm going to go into depth within this lesson. So there is an unfathomable amount of information and knowledge in the universe. And so Laniakea is a supercluster of multiple different galaxies, and I believe that she is an ancient super soul. So if she is an ancient super soul, then our galaxy would be an oversoul, which contains multiple different souls in it. And suns, I believe, which I believe are sentient, or stars, suns or stars, are souls as well. And so planets then would be super consciousnesses of and a part of those larger souls, oversouls, super ancient souls. And so Laniakea is part of a massive group of ancient super souls, which total around 10 million in our universe. So currently, right now, we have a cosmic picture of our universe that we're living in. And so far, from our perspective in this third density realm, we found out that there are about right now 10 million gigantic, massive superclusters that are spanning our entire universe. So if that's the case, then that tells me that our universe is a super being, and it's part of a larger structure that we have absolutely no clue about. So, and it's almost like unfathomable to think of this, but I love thinking in this way. And so the question that I pose is, what are we then? Why are we here? And if we are sentient and we are so small compared to the vastness of the cosmos, then we are almost like a small little quark. Okay, so that's a particle, quantum particle, in comparison to these universal forces. And so, personally, for me, intuitively, and the messages that I've received from my guardians and guides is that our souls are stars, are part of stars, and stars need experience, and so a way for them to gain experience is to take a wisp of their energy basically and send them down to these different dimensions, different planets, different beings, so that they can gain experience and knowledge for the larger systems. And so I believe that we're sparks from specific stars, and the specific stars are part of a larger cluster of stars within, and then it keeps on growing and growing and growing. There's a top-down hierarchal structure to all of this. And so, so this is universal. So right here is Laniakea, and Laniakea comes from the Hawaiian words Lani, which means heaven, and then Akea, which is spacious and immeasurable. And she is located in a section of our universe, and our Milky Way galaxy is in a portion of her, as well as the Andromeda galaxy, as well as gajillion other galaxies. And I'm going to go into more detail about that. And so the name was suggested by Nawa Napoleon, an associate professor of Hawaiian language. And so Laniakea honors the Polynesian navigators who used the sky to navigate the Pacific Ocean. The Milky Way, our galaxy that we're living in right now, is in the outskirts of this massive supercluster, and she is one of the largest superstructures or superclusters and superstructures within our universe. There's another larger structure that they just found, which is crazy big, and it's called Quipu. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, and if I'm incorrect, you can just let me know. But I believe it's Quipu. It's Quipu or PO. I can't remember exactly, but I might do a video on that one as well. So here's some more facts. So this is fascinating. So the picture that you're seeing right there is a picture of our universe that we have right now. And then there's all these other, these lines that are, pointing to all of the different super clusters that they're identifying on this. But there are significantly more than this, because remember, I said there's about 10 million, and there's obviously not 10 million on this map. So Laniakea is a supercluster that is home to the Milky Way and about 100,000 to 400,000 galaxies. As of now, we are going towards more about 400,000 galaxies because of the James Webb Telescope and what it's been able to see. So within that, if you think about this, this is becoming mind-boggling. She has 10 trillion suns. So Laniakea has 10 trillion suns. So my argument is that each one of those suns is a soul, because remember, there's a top-down structure to all of this. This universe right here is a sentient, omniscient, omnipotent being, all-knowing, which is part of a gigantic, massive, larger structure than even what we're seeing. And remember what we're seeing here, we're looking at third dimensional, two-dimensional space. And remember, there's multiple different densities, multiple different dimensions. And so this is just from our human perspective, the way that we're seeing this, but it's pretty vast and massive. And Laniakea, which I believe is the heart of the universe, is holding 10 trillion suns. So the amount of life that must be amongst this being is beyond anything we can even think of. And she is alive. She has resonance. She has power. She is holding memory. she is all knowing and is part of this larger structure. And she holds the knowledge of 100,000 to 400,000 galaxies. It's pretty amazing. Like, she holds their knowledge. And so she spans about 500,000 light years across. And I also have come to the fact that she's the heart of our universe. And according, as I said before, if you're looking at these pictures, this picture right here, there's about 10 million superclusters, which then turn into multi-superclusters, which then become the massive, great spirit being of our universe. So I believe as above, so below. This is Hermetic wisdom. This is laws of the universe. And so when you look at Laniakea, she looks like a heart. So if you look at her, she has these filaments like kind of like going out. And she looks like she's like the heart of our universe. If you look at this picture, we're here in the Milky Way galaxy, which is massively vast. And all along her structure, there's, thousands of galaxies and trillion suns. And then, which is really interesting right here, is there's this like void. So there's this big void right here. And then we go into another supercluster. And so all of these superclusters, when you look at them in more of like a fourth dimensional realm, they are all kind of superimposed upon each other. And these little filaments right here, which are like kind of synapses in our brain, they're all connecting to each other into this larger structure. So when I put this into perspective from the human perspective, I find this really fascinating. So we'll just go over this. So in our body alone, we hold about 40 trillion cells. And within the 40 trillion cells, there's 10 to the 27th atoms in each cell. And each one of those, particles or atoms we also have these quantum particles as well. And there's about 17 different quantum particles that we know of so far. And the human body contains about 78 organs. When you think of it from that perspective, doesn't it kind of match Laniakea, and doesn't it kind of match the universe? Very interestingly enough, I mean, she holds like tons and tons of, stars, but it really represents kind of like those stars kind of really represent cells. And she is also part of this like larger structure within the body of the Great Spirit. So us personally, compared to the earth, is we are like the cells on earth. So we are like earth cells. Earth is a body. She is becoming conscious of herself. She's part of the larger soul or sun structure and solar system, which is our local sun. And she's part of that consciousness, and she's part of that soul structure. She's also part of the soul structure, the oversoul structure of our galaxy, which is then part of this larger structure of Laniakea. So if you think of Earth and you step on your crystal ladder and you go way, 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 way up and you look down, Earth is basically a body. But then if you go further out, then Earth is a cell of the Milky Way galaxy. And if you go further out, continue to go further out, she becomes like a quark to Laniakea, which is super interesting. So the Milky Way, on average, I'm saying on average, is 100 to 400 billion suns. Most likely, it's probably around 400 billion suns. So there's about 100 billion to 8 trillion planets. And I actually think it's more like, I might have made a mistake. It's more 100 trillion to 8 trillion planets. Think about that, 8 trillion planets. If we have 40 trillion cells in our body and we're comparing it to this, see how similar it is? So the earth, like I said, is like a cell, and we are like the atoms of this Milky Way. We're not even really atoms. We're even smaller than atoms. We're like we can't even we're like these little minute particles that are like conscious. And so what's kind of interesting when we start thinking of ourselves is like, are we actually conscious of ourselves or our atoms? No. Some of it, I mean, if you're super enlightened, maybe you are and you can connect to them. So that begs a question also, like, are we conscious of our bacteria on our bodies? No, we really can't see unless we're looking at a microscope. And we do know that there's a problem with the bacteria when we start getting sick, you know? And so we need to start asking the question. So is Earth conscious of us? Is she becoming conscious of us? Um, and I do believe she is becoming conscious, but I am questioning and I'm still pondering and I'm still thinking, is she actually conscious of us? So I'm not sure. So, and then I think of, is the galaxy conscious of the Earth? You know, if she is like, for example, a cell or a bacteria within the galaxy, is the galaxy conscious of Earth? And so I'm not sure. I have to start digging deeper into all of this. And then the other thing is Laniakea conscious of the Milky Way, of our sun, of our Earth? I'm not too sure, because if you think about it, it's like they're like the quarks. So like Earth is like the quarks, sun is like a probably an atom, and then the Milky Way is maybe, like with other galaxies, it probably becomes some type of like um organ or something within this larger super ancient soul consciousness of Laniakea. So these are just questions that I keep on pondering. And obviously this is like a lifelong pondering, but it's really interesting to start thinking about it in this way so that we can start becoming more aware of who we are and how vast this universe really is, and that this reality is not the only reality. We are just part of this larger whole, and we are really here for learning and experiencing and helping the earth ascend as she is, moving into her fourth density self and being and actually becoming aware of herself. Now that I made these comparisons and I start thinking of this on a universal scale, then we can start seeing how it compares to who we are. So, the way that I see our souls transferring up and down in this hierarchy is through plasma and through this plasmoid spark. So, there's been research that is done when people die. They've had multiple accounts where recorded accounts where what happens is that they've seen like almost like this wisp of energy and or cloud looking like energy, or almost like a mist coming out of the body, either in the heart chakra or at the top of the crown chakra when someone passes on. And these wisps of clouds and or mist actually have taken on human shape and form before, where they're pretty small, they're pretty little. And so there have been accounts where when someone passes and transitions into the next phase, that the plasma releases from the body, the life force. So there's multiple levels of the soul within the body, but the life force releases out of the body and is able to transition into the next phase, most likely heading into the astral, and I'm sure other levels. And I'm only taking a guess here because nobody really knows what happens when you die except for near death experiencers or people who have astral traveled and that kind of stuff. So, it's based upon your own experience, but we're plasma. And so Robert Temple has done amazing work on this, and I probably will do another video on this, on plasma and how plasma is sentient, most likely. But for now, this is kind of like the top-down structure, the hierarchy. Starting really small, let's just say with a plasmoid spark, we're part of the Earth. Earth is part of the soul of our soul star. Okay. Our soul star is part of uh, a multiple different kind of other star systems within a galaxy. So, for example, our star and maybe other constellations and other stars are part of one group. And what's really fascinating is that there are 150 star clusters, which kind of form together to create these like groups within our Milky Way galaxy. So it makes me question, are there 150 oversouls within our Milky Way galaxy, which then connect to these larger structures? And then our galaxy is like a super soul, super intelligent, has multiple, like 40 trillion planets and many stars. And so, it, it makes sense that it would be a super soul and it's intelligent. And then the galaxy connects to this larger ancient super soul, which holds multiple different galaxies. So when you look at this and you go back, we start out at this like plasmoid spark. We're coming from, let's say, our soul star, and we're part of this earth, and the earth is part of the soul of its soul star, its companion. And then it just gets on bigger and bigger. And then those stars form, a group or bond with each other. So there's 150 in our Milky Way galaxy. And then our galaxy itself has 40 billion stars, 400 billion stars, which is huge. And so that's a super soul. And then that galaxy connects with these other galaxies, 100,000 galaxies to 400,000 galaxies in Laniakea, which is an ancient super soul. And so the hierarchy just gets bigger and bigger when we are viewing it from this third dimensional, third density realm. And then when I look at this picture, I think of it as the massive universal structure, and I just see the omniscient, omnipotent being, which is the Great Spirit, which holds all memory of our universe. And I believe that this structure is part of an even larger structure and multiple other universes, and it connects into something even larger. So it's very, very fascinating. Or maybe what all of this is that everything is in this, we are seeing everything in this like quantum realm. And, we are distorted in what we're seeing, but I believe that there are laws to this universe. So a super soul consciousness. So there are about 100 million super soul clusters in our universe. All oversouls are the galaxies, or super oversouls are the galaxies, and are contained in each super cluster, such as Laniakea, which is about 100,000 galaxies, 100,000 to 400,000. We don't know exactly. Each galaxy holds stars, which are the souls, SOL, souls of the Milky Way, for example. And the Milky Way, like I said before, has an estimated 100 billion stars. So are those all souls? And then they join into these larger structures, oversouls, and then super oversouls, and then ancient super soul consciousness. And the planets are a part of the consciousness of each soul star or their companion, and is an entity of its own. So like Earth is an entity of its own, but it is still connected to the main soul star. So that's fascinating. And for example, we are the cells on the planet. However, even though we're cells on this planet, for example, I'm thinking of larger structure here. And, we might not all come from this star, our local star that we are interacting with right now. We most likely come from other soul stars, because other soul stars are trying to gain consciousness and expand their understanding and gain experience within our super oversoul galaxy, so that all that information can be fed back to the ancient super soul, and then the ancient super soul feeds all of that information back into the larger Great Spirit structure of our universe. And right now, I believe that there are certain soul star groups helping Earth and the sun right now. So maybe some of us actually do come from this soul star. Some of us might come from, all over the galaxy, and possibly from other local galaxies that are within our ancient supercluster Laniakea. And like I said, we are plasmoid sparks of our larger soul star, wherever we come from, which meld with the planet we are bound to. So there's almost like an exchange. Earth lets us borrow her body for us to have an experience to feed that information back to our soul star. And then our soul star feeds that information back to its oversoul body. And then that oversoul body feeds its information back to the galaxy. And then it keeps on going. And our galaxy would be kind of like a plasmoid spark of the super super ancient soul supercluster, Laniakea. And so it just keeps on going up and down, which is really fascinating. And then she is almost like a plasmoid spark of the great spirit universe, or the one being that we are all interacting with right now and a part of. And then that great spirit is part of an even larger being. And going back to that whole Hermetic wisdom universal law, which is as above so below as above. And when we think about the actual science of this, 99% of the universe is plasma. So therefore, plasma must be intelligent. Maybe not all plasma is intelligent, but I bet a lot of plasma is intelligent. And, scientists from like the early 1930s started proving this. So I'm going to do another video on this one. And then we have to go back to, we live on an intelligent planet. Our planet has memory. It has life force. And our planet is connected to her local soul star, which is the sun, which is giving us life as well. So it's very interesting when we start thinking about it in this perspective. So all memory of all parts, like let's just focus on Laniakea right now, are stored and transferred within the hierarchy. And because she is the heart of the universe, from my perspective, I believe that she is the heart of the universe just based upon the structure of her being. And when you look at the rest of the universe, and if you compare the universe to a being, then it makes sense that she would be a heart. And when you compare it to our own heart and the way our heart looks, or the way that animal heart looks, it looks very similar. And she's the heart, she's pulsing with this energy, and that pulse is cyclical, and also that pulse provides energy to all of the galaxies within her, with all of the suns within her, with all the planets within her. So we are all deeply connected to this one being, Laniakea. Now, I personally, because there's so much vast distance between her and then these other super clusters, we're probably coming from one of the galaxies within her, and or in one of the stars within her. So we are part of her, which then connects out. So we are part of this like soul family. And she holds an unbelievable amount of knowledge of all the oversouls and all the souls that are within her system. And so what I question is she conscious of us? I don't know if she is. I'm not too sure. I feel like if we can get into that super clean, enlightened state of awareness and connect in that quantum state, we probably could connect with her. But we have to also imagine, like, ourselves. Are we consciously connecting with our atoms, with our quantum particles? And not so much, but I'm sure we can. I know that we have the power to be able to do that. So I might start practicing in my meditation to see if I can connect with my quantum particles and see if they have anything to say. And maybe that's what she's doing. She's trying to connect with her quantum particles, and we are like her quantum particles. And so when I think of it this way, it brings so much into perspective of the universe. And then when I think about what's happening on our planet Earth, it brings it more into perspective for me, and I don't feel so overwhelmed by these things that are happening. Because when you look at this, our universe is so vast, and our souls are experiencing so much other selves and so many other lives in this multidimensional universe. Here's some resources that I've come across. So if you would like to go and do your own research, you can go to any of these websites, and I'll put them in the description below. And you can go to the websites and check them out and do your own research and see what interesting information you come up with. And like I said, this is only a theory. Nothing is set in stone, but I've been thinking about this for a long time, and I'm still, on the deep search, questioning where we come from, why we are here, where do our souls come from, what happens to us when we die. We're living I've experienced, multi-dimensional other selves and lives. How do we connect with them? Are we all part of this, one of the 150 super, souls, or actually over souls within our galaxy? So it's really, really fascinating to start thinking about that. And I offer you to begin to think about that as well. So if you're interested, Dreams, I mentioned this at the beginning, but Dreams 101, the Quantum Perspective, is a course. You can go to my website at www.quantummessages1.com, and you can click on the course section. You can get this course right now for $21. So all you need to do is put in the coupon code Quantum, all caps, 21 all together, and you can get this course for $21. If you are interested in a deeper study on your spiritual path, or you need guidance with healing in any which way, you can also book a free discovery call with me at the same website and see if, we're a match and we, fit, and you would like to work with me. So I hope everybody has a wonderful day or night when you're listening to this, and I will see you soon. Hao la. Hao la means all is well, getting better.